Hello my dear traders, Panda is here, and in this video we will discuss with you an interesting and important topic, pivot points, also known as classic pivot points. And now let's find our first deal, which is gonna be Australian dollar to Swiss franc currency pair, and my trading robot has indicated the priority of movement for buy in the next 5 minutes. And let me tell you what the pivot points are. This is a popular automatic method for finding support and resistance levels. How do you use them correctly and why do you need them at all? Key support and resistance levels are the basis for many traders' decisions. And it's no surprise if a trader believes in the support or resistance area is strong enough to open a trade relying on it. In other words, it's an area of shared interest. These levels, like everything in technical analysis, are somewhat subjective. They are drawn differently and in various places. However, if we use level drawn according to a strict formula, we get lines that leave no room for different interpretation. They are always the same because of the formula. This is what pivot points are. How do you use them? The same way as support and resistance zones. Trade breakouts and false breakouts, and pay attention to pullbacks after a failed breakout. We covered all of this in previous lesson. The basics of pivot points. The simplest way to determine support and resistance areas has been used on Wall Street for decades. It takes the highest price, lowest price, and closing price for a given period, then divides it by 3. This is how you get the pivot point, also known as the pivot. Pivot points on a live chart. On a live chart, it's useful to keep Dow theory in mind and plot them for 1 day, hourly, and 15-minute charts to fully understand how the tool works. The larger the time frame is, the stronger the pivot, support or resistance. There are 2 main types. First one is pivot point standard. Second one, pivot points high-low. It's pivot points using max and minimum values. Standard pivot points, by default, pivot points are calculated automatically based on time frame selected. Specifically for 1, 5, 10 and 15 minutes time frames, data from the previous day is used. For 30 and 60 minutes time frames, data from the previous week used, and for 1 day time frame, data from the previous month used. And here's how it works. If you have chosen a 60 minutes time frame on the chart, the pivot points are set at the start of a new week and do not change until the next week. This is if auto is selected in the settings. You can also see the period to any other time frame. Now let's talk about types of pivot points. At the beginning of this article, we gave the classic pivot point calculation formula. It's not the only one. Many researchers have created their own formulas for calculating support and resistance areas. You can choose one of the following types. Traditional, next is Fibonacci, Woody, Classic, Demark, and Camarilla. Let me tell you what these types are. Traditional and Classic are very similar, differing only in how points 4 and 5 are calculated. Woody and Demark are named after traders who developed them, while Camarilla was created by bond trader Nick Scott. Pivot points high and low. The second option on a live chart is called pivot points high-low. It simply displays the maximum and minimum price values for the chosen time period in the settings. This is a convenient way to find maximum and minimum price levels, which are then used to create support and resistance zones. Practical use of pivot points. What do you do with them? The same as with support and resistance lines. And now I want to remind you guys, as our third deal is closed with profit, alright, about my free Telegram channel where I give profitable signals every day. You will find the link in the description of this video. And now our second deal is gonna be the currency pair Canadian dollar to Swiss franc, 5 minutes expiration time, and my trading bot indicate the priority of movement for buy. Alright guys, practical use of pivot points. Well, you need to look for support and resistance zones playing out, and breakout and pullbacks areas. After a clear breakout of a main line, price tends to move to the next support or resistance. Pivot lines often form channels. Remember support and resistance concepts here. After a false breakout, a strong move in the opposite direction often follows. In trader psychology, this is a classic setup. A failed breakout, when a new trend doesn't start, causes disappointment, allowing the other side to take control. After a real breakout, the best move is often not to enter right away, but to wait for a pullback to the support that has become resistance. And now let's talk about effectiveness of trend lines. Initially, we use only 2 points to draw a line. The more points used to draw the line, the stronger the support or resistance level that line creates. Sometimes finding 2 points for a line isn't easy. Price movement can sometimes make it hard to find good points to connect. If this is the case, don't try to force the line onto the chart. A trend line should be clear and natural. Don't try to make the price fit the line. The classic rule for drawing a trend line is the line is drawn using 2 points, and the third point confirms it. Position of points on the line. Where should these points be located? Not too far apart, but not too close either. The exact distance depends on the time frame, price movement, and personal preference. But if two highs or lows are too close, the line's effectiveness might be questionable. Angle of the trend line. As the slope of trend line increases, its effectiveness as support or resistance can weaken. The steeper the angle, the less reliable the line may be, even if it connects logical points. Its role as support or resistance may not be very strong. Internal trend lines. Sometimes the points you connect don't align well. The slope may be too steep, points may be too close, or price volatility can create inconsistencies. Price can sometimes break the line in different places with its wicks, creating noisy movement. One way to address this is by using internal trend lines. When the trend line is good, it's straightforward to use. And now guys, the conditions for my contest. If you want to win $50 from Panda Trader, you just need to like this video and leave any comment under this video you want. Also guys, you need to work on trend lines. The main challenge for beginners is that they don't want to spend much time practicing trend lines or other tools of technical analysis because it's too boring for them. They are not willing to draw hundreds of thousands of lines in both good and obviously incorrect situations. They skip the time needed for practicing with these simple but really powerful tools. The best pivot points. Pivot points are simply support and resistance levels calculated automatically using embedded formulas. They are used just like any support and resistance levels. On the one hand, they save you from drawing these levels by hand since they are automatically plotted. On the other hand, since they are based on formulas, pivot points don't replace but rather add to manually drawn support and resistance levels. Which should you choose? As with any mechanical indicator, it depends on your practice and ability to interpret the results. It's also important to confirm the pivot point data with other tools. I personally would recommend trying the classic, traditional, and DMARCS versions, as DMARCS is one of the most practical ones. But of course, you are free to test all the types, analyze past data, and you pick the one that works best for you. And that's it for today, guys. We closed 2 out of 2 deals with my trading robot. I told you very important information about pivot points. Thank you for watching, guys. Like this video, subscribe to my channel. Have a profitable deals. Good luck, guys.